Welcome back to the Crypto Plebs channel. It's your boy Jumpman Crypto. It's been a while since I did a face on camera. Guys, I've been not getting haircuts lately, looking a little rough. Your boy finally got a haircut, feeling like $1 million, made $1 million, and now I'm ready to be on here and chop it up with you guys. It's been about a week. I've been very busy, getting ready to go out of town. You guys that have been locked in with me know that I'm getting ready to head down to Colorado to visit my son. He's getting married. And I still run a business, and I run a Discord that's growing and growing and growing. And it's a little hard to do these videos. Right now I'm babysitting my grandson, and I got 5 dogs that are running around here. So if we get a young one and some dogs running around here, never mind that. I'm not going to be editing anything. I need to get this video out, and we need to talk about what's been going on. And just real quick, shout out to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. If you guys were tapped in, you know that I've wished everybody here in the KGU family and the Crypto Plebs a happy Mother's Day. And you guys know the drill. Back to business. A regular day, another dollar. So, we expected this big run up, guys, and we did. We got it. We started pumping in the Asian markets early in the morning. We had a nice run up. But then, we had this, very unexpected drop. Everybody in crypto YouTube and every finance channel is going to say that they saw this coming. You know how it goes, guys. These guys are just flip floppers. Look, I'm not going to lie. We've had a really nice run up these last few weeks. So it does kind of make sense that we get a little bit of a pullback. But honestly, guys, look, Bitcoin went down a few $1,000s. Altcoins went about, 4 or 5, 6%. And, it's like always, people start freaking out. The bears start, putting their mask back on. And it's just kind of ridiculous, guys. Look, if you guys are not being able to handle that, then crypto's not for you. If you guys are going to be, freaking out over those kind of dips, crypto's not made for you guys. Look, we're going to have pullbacks all the time during bull markets. It's very common, Bitcoin to pull back 30%. Now that's a pullback. Alt's going down, 40, 50%. This is very common. I'm starting to see a lot of new people coming back into the space. A lot more people are being active now. And, I don't think this is a top signal, but, when we start heating back up like this, we just got to make sure that we are on red alert, making sure we're paying attention and tapping in a little bit more because, hey, this could end, very quickly. The Bitcoin dominance has been fluctuating down to the lower 60s. When we start hitting down these lower 50s, and if you're tapped into the Discord, you guys know personally what we talked about, levels that we're looking for, whenever that time comes where there should be a danger zone. And if you guys are looking for this type of information, I always recommend you guys to be part of a Discord that is helping you guys understand that. I do work in the KGU family, and then I also have my personal Discord where we go over, finding buy levels, and we do talk about exit strategies and all this kind of stuff here. The links will be below, and we'd love to have you there. So let's talk about this little dip that happened with, altcoins and everything. You know, Ethereum has been having this couple runs up here to this 2600 a couple times, and it's looked like it's pulled back 3 times already. Triple top. I'm still thinking we're gonna head up, guys. Look, it's kind of something that I'm a little concerned about, but we just got to make sure that we're paying attention to these things. Uh, you know, through short term lens. Where could we pull down to? We look like we had this low right here, almost at 2400 on the dot. Could we go down lower? Possibly. But honestly, for right now, I'm looking just to see if we can try to re-challenge this 2600 and break through. For the longest time, we were stuck here at this 1700 to 1800 zone. So this is pretty much the same thing, guys. We're down here. We've had many times where we're running up to 1800, then we came back to 16, then we went back to 1800, then we back down to 16, 18, 16, 18, 16. And then we just had this blast up, this big, massive blast up. And then now, we hit this 2600 wall and we rejected off it, and people were freaking out. We're going back into a bear market, yada, yada, yada. And I just have to remind people, like, look, we have to go back and look at support level, which we could say, hey, look, there's support right here down this 2300 zone. If we start breaking market structure here at this 2400, we want to maybe set some buy orders right here at this 2300 zone. And if you're bullish on ETH and you think that it's going to go to $4 or $5,000 soon, that'd be a nice area to load up. But at the end of the day, guys, there's nothing to really worry about. Bitcoin's still above 100K. And let's check out Bitcoin real quick. I did make a video today, and good thing I didn't send it out because I would have been looking real dumb. But yeah, we had this pullback here, and it's got a little scary for the most part. It looked like we were getting ready to break 100K a few times, this weekend, and but look, we're good. Uh, where did we go down to? We came down really close, from breaking, 100,000, but luckily we got that bounce up. We do have a few CME gaps here. I think we had some at 96,000, and then we have even some more down here in the 92s. Now we've gone over this a few times. CME gaps usually fill, not all the time. So we could come down here to this lower, 98K region. That's the first line of support right here. Big possibility. So if we do have, an event where we do drop down, to this 99, 98K region, it's not the end of the world. Just know that, this is going to be approximately, 4 or 5% dip down, 3%. No big deal. There's no need to, have people freak out and start putting on the bear helmets again. Could we go down here to 96? Definitely. These are all support lines right here. No problem. We could still go here and we'd still be in an uptrend. So, would we like to keep this 100K zone, 100K zone? Of course, but we could go down, guys. That's just the way it is. So, we were talking yesterday in the Discord and we were saying, hey, I was telling people to take positions. And I specifically said, guys, don't go all in. If you have, X amount of dollars, inject 10, 20, 30% in, and we did get that push up. Nobody's ever going to be able to time these things, guys. But, like the reason why we didn't get fed into this whole, we're going to go straight to Valhalla because, look, this is crypto. It's always a sell the news event. There's so much stuff going on. We got CPI tomorrow. We got PPI on Thursday. So, we always keep these kind of things in mind. So if the price does go down, like I said, if Bitcoin goes down 5%, alts will go down 10, 15, 20%. So it makes sense to go hard on those areas and not just inject all your money in those levels. Another altcoin that we talk always a lot about is Avalanche. We gave some signals out in the Discord for a 260 entry zone. We tapped it. Looks like we got that bounce here at 260 exactly on the dot. So if you guys, either took a buy zone or an entry there, you're good. Could AVAX come down more? Of course. We have some entries down here at 23, and we have bigger support down here at $19. Could we come down to 19? Certainly, yes. That's not very hard for it to go down. That's 20%. I don't think so, but hey, you could start staggering your buy orders between 24.60, $23, and just stagger them down. If they grab, they grab. If they don't, they don't. But you don't want to have all your money just in the market. You want to make sure that you're staggering your buys. And another one, XRP. You guys have been listening to the channel, paying attention, following you, boy. We've always talked about this decision time. So we tapped here at 265. I was 10 cents off from the rejection zone where I said 275 would be, actually it was 268, my bad. So yeah, we pretty much nailed that rejection right there at 268. Remember, you guys got to, I think a good thing to do if you're new is to write stuff down when I'm talking. Even in the Discord, if I'm giving you guys alpha, write it down, get a pen and paper, write it down, and just backtrack on what I'm saying. If you guys can really go back and fact check me, everything that I've been saying has pretty much been lining up. We went to, I said 268, we'd start having problems at this, 247. We got that first rejection when we first talked about it. And then we went back down here, broke through. Then I said we'd have problems at the 275, 268 zone. And we are, this would be the 786. We reject pretty good off it. We're back at 250. We want to see support here, and we can get this re-challenge up. Like I said, there is a lot of people trapped up here, guys, and it's on you. you have to do your due diligence. This is the part where you guys have to, I see so many people all the time in the Discord asking all these questions. What should I do? Should I sell my XRP? Should I do that? No one's ever going to tell you to sell your crypto. You got to make that decision on yourself. If you bought down here at $1.60, if you bought down here, you should be really considering taking some profits or looking to scale out around these areas. Look, 90% of people don't make money in this space. It's getting to the point now where my Discord's growing so huge, it's the messages are getting drowned out. And there's got to be a point where people are taking the due diligence to learn and just make these conscious decisions on their own. Nobody can tell you when to buy, hold, or sell. We can just make recommendations. And I'm trying to desperately to get, even the people in my Discord to understand that, you know, there's going to be a point to where I can only guide you and the rest is on you. And, like I said, when we start hitting these top areas right here, we really got to just be logical about it. And I don't want to be that person, but XRP, in my opinion, will not go past $10 this cycle because of just a lot of factors. I just truly believe that there's not enough money to pump it there yet. In the future, possibly, but I'm just not sold on it yet. Could it? Of course. I think that, if you guys were buying at these sub low prices, definitely. But when you're buying all in this area, you have to really be realistic with yourself and understand when you start hitting in these zones again that you are running in a big danger zone. So just please keep that, guys, in your mind. Like I said, I don't like to get messages when, people are asking me, when they should sell, because I just feel like it's inappropriate for me to say that. All I can do is tell you good areas to buy at and good areas to take profits at, and just leave it like that. Next one, let's go on Pith. Pith is one that I always talk about, guys. It's a Solana Oracle. Same thing like Chainlink. If Chainlink does good, I always assume that Pith is going to follow behind it. It's had a double bottom. I'm still looking for more push to the upside. I'm hoping that we can break into this 30 cents. We're making calls down here at the 12 cents all the way through. I would love for us to get to 36 cents. I may start trying to scale out of here around this area. It has a long ways to go back to its all-time high, guys. All the way back up into $1. Could it hit that dollar area? Possibly, but I'm just really not too sure. Pith has had a lot of issues, over the last, few months. He had an all-time high right here at 115. And, unfortunately, I was buying all the way down here and I took it all the way up here. It was a nice 3 or 4X. And I, didn't expect it to go all the way down like that. So I rode this thing pretty much all the way down, but I did buy all the way down here. So I got my average down really good. So I probably would be able to get out of here around 55, even 75 cents. That'd be a nice, 5, 6X for me. So Pith is a good project. It has a good future, new project. Uh, we just got to see how Solana ecosystem does. And, Solana continues to grow. I see no reason why this can't grow and do really great. Next one is Ondo. You guys know I always talk about Ondo. It's the king of tokenization, guys. We got a support line right here at $1 flat. We have other ones down here closer to the 92 cents and even a little bit further down to 85 cents. I see guys all the time. Oh man, I'm gonna set my buy orders. They're gonna give you the most bearish. They're gonna give you the most bearish entries here. Because like I said, they just want to make sure that they don't go down at all. And these are the people that usually wait, 2 or 3 months to take a position because when it was there, they were looking over here, and then when it was over here, they were looking over down there. It's the same thing, guys, over and over with these individuals. When the price comes to pick you up, you'll start raising it down lower because you want lower and you want lower, and then it ends up just going up here and you're left behind. Uh, I would start taking positions now. Just be conservative, make some buys now, DCA down. When you start hitting this low target down here at 97 cents, you can go and start going a little harder. And just keep that in mind. All right, let's see what else we got. We got parcels. Parcels, guys. I know you guys know what's up with parcels, man. Rounded bottom, everything's still the same. Looking for this target here in 24, 22 cents. Give it about a month. I think we'll be there. This is my target zone somewhere up in here. Could we go back to this all-time high? Couldn't. I don't know, man. We got to see what's up. We just got to be patient, and hopefully, everything will turn out good. Let's go over real quick Cardano, because I've been noticing Cardano looks really good too as well. Let's see. All right, let's see. EDA. I was checking out Cardano today. It's been pretty much running up, looking pretty bullish, along with uh, XRP. All right, yeah, I mean, Cardano looks pretty good as well. Uh, let's clear the chart up real quick. We got some resistance here. We got a lot of resistance here at 90 cents. Even some here at $1.02, $1.20. We got some down here at $1.30. So most definitely we can hit up here. I'm looking for a $2, 2.20 Cardano. It's not gonna do like what everybody else is saying, $5, $10, but we just gotta take what we can get, guys, and get a nice little 60% return. I think that would be pretty good for ADA. Uh, you know, like I said a few months ago, it was at 35 cents. So you know, it definitely you know probably could do more depending on what the situation is, but I'm looking for at least maybe somewhere between the maximum. Maybe we can go to $2, be almost 2.5x from current price. So we just got to see what's in store in the later term for that. But guys, that's pretty much it. I wanted to make a video real quick to get out to you guys. Remember, I'm heading out to Colorado. If you guys could send some blessings and prayers over us, guys. I don't like making these long drives, and I most definitely don't like flying. So we just went ahead and decided to do that route. If you guys could just say a prayer for us, wish us the best of luck, and hopefully we come back. We don't get eaten by any bears or anything like that. But with that being said, guys, remember there's a link to the Patreon below. We'll love to have you there, and then also two links to Femex where we trade there. Really great exchange that you can buy crypto futures and all that stuff like that. So we will talk to you guys later. I'll be in touch. Deuce.